There. Hi to everybody. I'm Diego Pascal Panarello. I'm talking to you from Sicily, the southeast side, from Pachino exactly. And I'm here because Anna and Carla invited me to make a Q&A for this new format or new panel, new era of the quarantine time for Inedit Festival Amsterdam. I'm honored that they invited me. I see many people are coming. And okay, I'm here because last year at this time I was in Amsterdam introducing my film. My film was opening last year at the festival, and now Anna and Carla invited me to make a Q&A for a film titled Cheesehead Blues, made by Jan Doense, and he's a very good guy that I know him. I know him very well, and very soon I will try to invite him. Jan, ciao Jan, ciao
Hello.
Jan. So I'm very embarrassed to be alone in front of camera when people is looking at me. Anyway,
Hi.
at this moment, Inedit Festival is sharing some of the best title of the past edition, and here we are with Jan Doense, the director of Cheesehead Blues, and last year your film won the prize for the audience prize, right?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, maybe there are some.
I'm not at the beach, by the way. It seems.
Sorry, you are not at the beach, by the way, right? So
No,
what?
I'm actually.
It's a paint. Okay, you are outside.
I'm
was
in Amsterdam. Look.
Okay.
It's a trompe-l'œil.
It's nice.
Oh shit. Okay. Yes, I'm still here. Is this good if I hold the camera like this?
Yes,
Because,
sure.
This seems too close. Well, I do it like this. Okay. I do it like this, and
if you hear some problem with my mic, please tell me.
Okay.
Anyway, here we are. Yeah. So you are in Amsterdam. I understood well.
Yes, that's right.
Because usually, do you live there?
I do. Yes.
Okay.
Well,
okay.
At my girlfriend's place, but it's also in Amsterdam. Yeah.
Okay. And what's the situation there for the quarantine in Amsterdam? People go outside or what?
Yes, it's like a so-called intelligent lockdown. That's how our prime minister describes it. So you are allowed to go out and to do some shopping and to take some fresh air, but you don't. You should stay away from people. You should not go out all at once or go to the park or to the beach. That's prohibited, but you can go out as long as you keep a good distance.
Okay, so without mask, with any
without mask, yeah.
Without mask,
yeah.
Without.
Yeah. And how about you? Because you are on Sardinia.
No, in Sicily. It's the other side, the other island. And here it's a bit different. The situation, people are very scared. A lot of people dying, and it's not an happy situation. In my area, it's quite good. I mean, I'm at home. It's 1 month at home without fresh air, nothing. I go one time per week for buying something to eat, and I go back home. It's not easy, and but we are going better and better, and we are scared for a coming back of this period, because now we are going better, but we have to be very we have to keep attention on it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Anyway, here we are for talking about your film. I hope many people watched your film. I watched for the second time yesterday, and I was enjoying. And the first time I watched your film, when I didn't know you, but now that I know you, I enjoy it more than the first time.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you to you. So why do you think the people last year in Amsterdam loved your
the connection
film?
is
What
breaking
do
up.
you think? What?
I
Sorry?
hope. Yes, you are back. No, it seems like you are freezing.
No. I'm here. I'm here.
You're back. You're back. Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
So last year,
I just didn't get the question. Yeah.
last year you won the audience prize in Amsterdam. Why do you think the audience loved your film? For
Well,
what was the more interesting the part that catch the audience?
well,
What do you
okay.
think?
I think there were a lot of friends of mine in the audience, to be
Ah,
honest.
come on.
It's true. But and it also really helps when a filmmaker is present and he's very enthusiastic and has a nice introduction. I'm a festival organizer myself. I've seen it happen before. Because to be honest, I'm not a documentary filmmaker. I did this as a labor of love. I worked on it for a long time because it's almost maybe 10 years altogether in preparing, in shooting, in editing.
For Cheesehead.
I mean, for Cheesehead.
For Cheesehead. Okay.
Yes. I worked on it an extremely long time without any knowledge of really how to make a documentary. So if I look at it now, I think this is the film. This is a film that I'm proud of. It's really not a masterpiece, but it tells a story of some people who are living in this town called Clarksdale in Mississippi, who are trying to keep the blues alive, which is, I'm a big fan of the blues. And I went to Clarksdale because I knew that was where the Delta blues came from. That's where Muddy Waters came from. That's where John Lee Hooker came from, and many other great names. So I wanted to be there. And then I found out, hey, there's something happening here. There are a lot of people who are keeping the blues alive. And I wanted to get to know this scene. And I thought I can do this by making a documentary about this Dutch guy who is living there, who runs this museum.
Because there's a little Dutch community there.
Just one guy.
just the guy of the museum.
Yeah, that's right.
The owner of the club is not from Netherlands.
No. They're all Americans, okay. or sometimes they come from other countries like England. But this guy is one Dutch guy who runs this museum, and he knows everyone. So I thought, if I want to get to know these people, I can do it by making a documentary about this guy.
Okay.
And so I proposed this to him. He said, great, because he was interested in this film, so he could show it at his museum. So we made a deal, and I shot the film, and he introduced me to all these people, and we shot very fast because we've been shooting there for I think maybe a week, but non-stop. From the early morning to the late evening, we were racing around doing all these interviews. And it was also a good time to do this because it was just after the famous King Biscuit Film Festival, which takes place, King Biscuit Music Festival, I should say, which takes place in a town nearby. And a lot of blues musicians come there. And then when the festival is over, they all come to Clarksdale to hang around for a little while and then make more music. And this is the time I was there, when all these people were there.
So you shoot everything in 1 week?
Yes. Yeah, more or less. Interviews that were not that didn't go very well the first time, but the main portion was shot within a week. Yeah.
But for preparing this week, you spent several years.
Actually, spent maybe 3 years, because the first time I was there was in 2009.
Yes.
And then I got the idea to do this. And then 2 years later, actually in 2011, I was there to shoot the most of the stuff. And then 2 years later, I came back to shoot some more. And in 2015, we actually had a first version. So that's 4 years later. And this version won an award as a rough cut, as a work in progress, at the Clarksdale Film Festival. Everyone liked it.
At which festival?
The Clarksdale Film Festival.
Clarksdale Festival.
Right there in Clarksdale, there was a film festival.
Okay.
Of course, this was also like a lot of people were there from the local community. They recognized each other and they thought it was great.
Yes, of course.
So I won an award there. And then Theo, the guy from the guy who runs the museum, the Dutch guy, he said, well, it's a really great work in progress, but I'm missing some people. This guy is not in it and that guy is not in it. And I said, yeah, it's called Kill Your Darlings, you know? So sometimes you have to get rid of people and stuff, even though on its own it's really nice. But when it doesn't help the story, you should just kick it out. I said, so I threw a lot of people out because they did not add anything to the story. And then he said, but I will get into a lot of trouble if these people are not in the film.
Okay.
You know? And so I had a deal with Theo that I would give him a film that he could show in his museum.
Okay.
Like, okay, shit. So I have to make a version that includes these people.
Like extra footage?
No, the footage was there. So he said, why is this guy that you shot not in the film? And why?
So at the museum, there is a longer version that you can watch with all the people involved.
That's right.
Like a museum director museum cut.
Exactly. And it's like 20 minutes longer than the version that you saw.
Okay.
And so I finished that version because I had a deal with Theo, and he allowed me to shoot this film in return for a finished film that he could show at his museum. So I figured, okay, if he doesn't like the version that I'm showing now, I should make another version for him. So this is what I first did. And that version was ready in, well, I think 2017.
Okay.
And then when it was finished, there's even a DVD available in the United States of this longer version. But then I decided, okay, now I'm done with this. Now I will make my own version. And this is the version that I showed in Edit last year. It's 20 minutes shorter, and some people are totally gone. But I also cut down a lot of, well, to be frank, of Theo, because he tends to go all over the place when he's telling his stories. So I cut these stories a bit shorter. And this is it, you know. And why did it win the audience award? I think as it is, it's, I mean, if I can say so for myself, it's an honest story. It's about the guy who follows his passion, who runs this museum, who works very hard for this, who manages to get a lot of people excited to help him. But it also tells the story of this town in Mississippi that is doing actually quite well because of all this reviving the blues. Because if you go to Mississippi and you travel around, as I did, you will notice that Mississippi is one of the poorest states in the United States. It's very poor. Mm-hmm. And Clarksdale is the big difference because there's some kind of economic miracle happening there. And this is something that I also put into the film.
But through your film, looks like black people are not interested on blues like white people. What do you think about it?
Well, as some of these guys like Super Chicken, the musician Super Chicken, say,
Yeah.
And Theo also himself, he says, yeah, this music is the music of their grandparents. The young people, the young black people now are more interested in rap and more modern kinds of music. But it's not entirely true because, as it is, there are some initiatives there in Clarksdale where older blues musicians, they do master classes for young musicians. And
Okay.
so the guy that you see in the film, who is a drummer, a young guy, who is
yes, who play with T Model Ford, right?
No, well, also him, but more specifically the drummer with Bill Howlin' Mad Perry.
Okay.
This guy, he calls him the Kingfish. He's a very famous blues musician now. He's only in his very early 20s. He's now playing guitar, and he released his first album last year. It was a big hit, and so he's now calling himself Kingfish, and he's like one of the new young blues musicians.
I will check him. I will check him through internet.
And the guy, what very funny story. The drummer of T Model Ford,
yes, was his nephew. Yes, his grandnephew.
His grandson, actually.
Grandson, grandson. Okay.
Yeah, and he's called Stud. And Stud, I interviewed him, but he's not in the film. But Stud, he was not super excited. Let's put it this way. And he was saying, "Yeah, I'm more interested in sports, and I want to be a basketball player." And
but he's a good drummer. He's a good drummer. Come on.
He's not super
it's nice the couple. It's very nice the couple in music when you see a grandfather with a grandson playing together. It's already a story.
Okay, but he doesn't seem very motivated. He's sitting there, he's doing his thing. But when I came to Clarksdale many years later, like the last time I was there, it was in 2017, I think. I went to this festival, and there were some musicians from Clarksdale playing, and I was thinking, who is this drummer? Because there was an incredibly good drummer. It turned out it was Stud, and he had finally decided, well, there are so many basketball players, but there's only one grandson of T Model Ford. That's me. So he decided to focus on becoming a drummer, and he got extremely good, really, really great. The only thing is that I
listened to another blues album with a grandfather and grandson was played by Burnside, R.L. Burnside.
Yeah.
It was called Too Bad Jim. It was a great album.
Very good.
It's just guitar and drum. On the drum was the nephew. Yeah, beautiful. And it's something that happened.
Cedric Burnside. It's the grandson, right, of R.L. Burnside.
Yes. I like so much this album.
Yeah. Now, those guys are really doing something that makes the blues modern again, I think. So it's really worth checking it out.
There are even some new label from that it's not new anymore, but Fat Possum Record, I remember as a good label that was making good stuff.
Yeah, well, Fat Possum was really the label that got me interested in the blues of today.
Okay.
Because I used to think that blues music was very old music by old guys, and it's the roots of rock and roll, but I thought it was all gone, it was all in the past. And then I was in a record store many years ago. I heard some music, and I thought, this is incredible. So I asked the guy, what is this, and he said, this is R.L. Burnside. The album is called Burnside on Burnside. It's a live album, and it's like you're listening to a punk rock album. It's amazing. So I got the album, and then I discovered the Fat Possum label, and they did some incredible things. They recorded a lot of these old guys, much like Ry Cooder did with the Buena Vista Social Club. And most of them are dead now, but they are like in their 70s, in their 80s, and they make music like they are punk rockers. It's amazing, I think.
Listen, when Chuck Berry was in jail, Elvis was in the army.
Mm-hmm.
This is a sentence that the man of the museum said.
Yeah.
What do you think about this sentence? Do you think could exist a white blues? And what do you think about this sentence? What do you think when you listen this sentence?
It's a very good question. I haven't thought about it so much. I do tend to think that Theo is sometimes a little bit superficial in how he explains things. Also, it's like Theo is also maybe more of a rock and roll guy than a blues guy. But he came from the Netherlands. He moved to Memphis, and he found out that with his collection of stuff, you know, he had a lot of rock and roll, but also a lot of blues. So he found out that maybe blues works better here. So he changed a bit to promoting the blues, but he's also really a rock and roll guy. So when he says Elvis is in the army, Chuck Berry is in jail, and then I think, what is he saying? That's the time of the British invasion. I'm not sure.
Yes, it was that era. Yes, I mean,
yeah.
Chuck Berry and Elvis are after the blues. When in that period the blues was becoming white in a way, because Rolling Stones were starting playing blues songs and blah blah blah. And but all the time I listen white blues. I listen a deep difference between inside the music. This is my point of view. I don't know why. Maybe because an old black man takes within a genetic story. I don't know. And so I guess one of the topic of your film is it's I guess maybe you can tell me more about it. One of the topic is does really exist a white blues, or the blues is just black? What do you think about it?
I consider myself a big fan of the blues, but I'm not a blues scientist. You know, I'm when I went there to shoot this film, I was ignorant, and I was just asking everyone, "How is this? How is this? That? How did this happen? Where does the blues come from?" and stuff like that. So I know that where this music comes from, it was very much, you know, something from the black community. It was the music that was created by the plantation workers. And then what I found very interesting was what Liz Mandeville is saying towards the end of my film, where she kind of explains the history of the blues in a more, let's say, a wider scope. And she says, well, you know,
yes,
there also was the blues in Europe, and there was the blues in Africa, and so why couldn't there be the blues in England? You know, that's what I'm trying to say, I think. And I think, you know, the Stones and Eric Clapton and those people, they were hugely inspired by the blues, the Delta blues and the Hill Country blues from the original artists. They started covering those songs, and by playing them over and over and over, I think they became blues musicians themselves. I think by now it's really hard to say that you can only play the blues if you have been a plantation worker, or, you know, you are a descendant of a plantation worker. It's become worldwide music. It has always been there, and everyone adapts it in his own way, or in her own way. So I think, yes, you can be a white blues musician. And actually, one of the scenes that I also cut from the film was an interview with Theo's neighbor, who is who is an artist, a folk artist, a white guy who plays the mouth harp very well. Oh. And he said one thing that was very interesting. He says, you know, I'm white and I'm playing the blues, and I'm not going to let anyone take that away from me. Yes, I'm white, and I can do the blues, and I think why not? Of course, it's evolving. When I saw Cedric Burnside play in Amsterdam, he was with a white guy who happens to be his producer, but who also happens to be a great drummer and a guitar player. And they were a two-man blues band, 50% white, 50% black. And it was amazing. So, this white guy for sure had the blues.
And the place where you were, the Mississippi Delta, in this area, did you ever see any blues souvenir shop managed by the black community, or it's something please?
Yeah, well, I didn't see any souvenir shops at all.
Okay.
The place that's featured in my film, the Cheesehead Delta Blues and Folk Art Store, I believe it's called, by Roger Stolle. That's basically one of the only blues souvenir stores, if you want to call them like that I ever saw. And this guy Roger, he's like the tourist service for blues tourists there. Everyone goes to him to find out where they have to go. And he sells the CDs, he sells the books, he sells everything.
Beautiful things, beautiful paintings, and something that. Yeah, it was very strange to me.
Like if you go to Memphis, where you have Beale Street, which is originally a place where all the blues clubs were, and now it's kind of like it's all like hard rock cafes, where rock blues is being played. So it's not like it used to be anymore. But there you have all these bars. The clients are mostly male, white, in their 50s, and there's lots of music and there's lots of beer and drinks, but no record stores, no bookshops, no blues souvenir stores at all, as far as I could tell.
Okay. It was even strange when you present yourself as a blues tourist.
That's how I felt, I'm a blues tourist. But the fun thing is that when I came back to Clarksdale, I've been there now 3 or 4 times, I think. So people recognize me. So I remember last time I was there were some people who were saying, "Hey, I know you. You're back. Welcome home." And it's like you have a saying there. It's called coming home. So if you come back repeatedly, it's like coming home. And I'm proud to say that I can come home in Clarksdale. I have some friends there, and that I keep in touch with. I would really like to do another documentary about the gospel, and the relationship between the blues and
gospel.
Yeah, because it's like the blues is considered the devil's music, right?
Yeah.
By religious people, but you can tell also in my documentary that there's a very close connection between blues and gospel, because
Rosalind comes from there. Blues comes from there.
And Rosalind Wilcox, she says, "Hey, I knew the gospel music, but you replace some words and you replace the rhythm, and then it's blues, Yeah. And I can do both these things." So with her, I'm still very much in touch, and I went to church with her a couple of times when I was there. It was totally amazing. It was so impressive, very welcoming. Because first time I was there, I was a little bit in shock, because I had asked permission if I could attend this service, and yes, no problem. But then the preacher said, "Well, we have a guest." I was with a friend, a white guy, and so the priest or the preacher went like, "We have some guests, and can you please introduce yourselves?" So I had to stand up and tell the people who I was, and can you imagine me in an all-black church, explaining that I'm a tourist from the Netherlands, and that I'm very honored to be allowed in their midst. And afterwards, they all wanted to talk to me, and they were very interested. And I thought, wow, such a heartwarmingly welcoming community. So then later on, when I went to look, we have a cat here, and he's climbing. He's climbing.
Athletic, very athletic, as all the cats.
Very young one still. And then the next time I was there, I went to church again, and then some people came to me. They said, "You were here before, weren't you?" I was like,
"Okay,
yeah. Welcome back."
How many people lives there?
In Clarksdale, I'm not sure, but it's pretty small. I think, I don't know, maybe 20,000 people. Yeah, so something like that. Yeah.
About gospel music, it's very different. Gospel when you listen through earphone or hi-fi, whatever, and when you listen live in church. It's a completely different experience, I guess, because there is a completely different acoustic that transform the music. And this is most interesting thing about gospel music. I won't be able to listen gospel music on my stereo, you know. And but live in a church, I would listen.
You're absolutely right. I mean, I've been to several of these gospel masses in different places, and it's totally a live experience. You have to be there. You have to feel the vibe. Things happen there during these masses that are pretty wild. I mean, I saw people getting totally in a kind of a trance, and they started speaking in tongues, and it was quite impressive, I have to say. Yeah, it's everyone gets very. Have you seen that film, the Aretha Franklin documentary that was released last year?
No, I didn't watch. Maybe it was even 2 other inedit session all around the world, but I didn't watch the film.
That's quite something. Yeah,
it's your suggestion.
Oh yeah, please check it out.
Okay.
Amazing. It's called Amazing Grace. Amazing Grace. It's
Amazing Grace.
Yeah.
Maybe it's on Netflix. Maybe it's on Netflix. I guess
it could be,
Who
or
knows?
it will be soon. But it's definitely worth checking that out. Yeah, to give you a good feeling of how these church these gospel services how they go, the energy. That's yeah.
Yeah. When you say gospel, I think the first thing I think is James Brown in Blues Brothers.
Yeah. That film keeps getting better and better through the years. The Blues. I can see it like every year, and I see new things, and I discover new things, and I think it gets better by the year. That film, yeah.
I guess we are going to close our Q&A time to don't get bored the people. Maybe we will talk a bit later among us.
Yeah, and I have a question. I hope that people have seen your film, The Sound of Happiness, The Strange Sound of Happiness.
I don't know. I don't know if it's in the list. So we can try to check the list of the film that Inedit Festival is offering to all the audience at home for this quarantine.
Yeah, or we should both talk to Inedit and to your sales agent and find out if there's a possibility to present The Strange Sound of Happiness for a little while to the fans of Inedit, and then we can do a Q&A, and I will ask you questions about your film. Because
it will be great. We will check it out.
Yeah, I'm talking straight to the people now. Diego made this film called The Strange Sound of Happiness, and it's one of the most amazing documentaries that I ever saw.
Come on. Don't say like that. No, thank you. Thank you.
Heartwarming film.
I argue
Me
so
too,
much,
Diego.
and keep in touch.
Yes, we will.
It was nice. Thanks, Inedit, to make real this conversation.
Yeah, thank you so much, Inedit. Yeah, good. Keep up the good work.
A lot of kids now. I have to try to close this live streaming. My first live stream, so I try to click and we will see what happens. Ciao.
Okay.
Ciao,
Ciao,
Jan.
ciao.
Bye bye.
Ciao.
Thank
Ciao,
you so
everyone.
much. Ciao,
You're
ciao.
welcome. You're welcome.